Welcome to OLC 4.0. This is Term 1B. We are at Class 25. Today we're going to be working on Assignments 41 and Assignments 42, which has 3 parts, A, B, and C. Today is Thursday, January 25th, 2024, and I am Jillian Percy. After this, will be one more class tomorrow just to kind of finish things up. Today's work, we are going to summarize a biography, summarize the main steps in a longer article, choose a possible career, look up how to train for that career, look up scholarships that could give money to support that career, and then explain to others how to apply to scholarships for your chosen career. Okay, so starting off with biographies. A biography is simply the story of a real person's life. It could be about a person who is still alive, someone who lived centuries ago, someone who is globally famous, an unsung hero forgotten by history, or even a unique group of people. The facts of their life from birth to death, or to the present day of the author, are included with life-changing moments often taking center stage. The author usually points to the subject's childhood, coming-of-age events, relationships, failures, and successes in order to create a well-rounded description of her subject. Now, keep in mind, some biographies don't go that far back. They might be much shorter, which today's is going to be. Biographies require a great deal of research to write. Sources of information could be as direct as an interview with the subject, providing their own interpretation of their life's events. When writing about people who are no longer with us, biographers look for primary sources left behind by the subject, and if possible, interviews with friends or family. Historical biographers may also include accounts from other experts who have studied their subject. The biographer's ultimate goal is to recreate the world their subject lived in and describe how they functioned within it. Did they change their world? Did their world change them? Did they transcend the time in which they lived? Why or why not, and how? These universal life lessons are what makes biographies such a meaningful read. So today we are on lesson 17, demonstrating writing a summary. This is 15 marks. For this activity, you will use reading strategies to identify the main idea and supporting details in a short biography. You will write a summary of the text. Use the checklist and rubric to help guide your writing. Assignment 41 we just said the summary. You're to read the short piece about Robert Checkwich, which is on the next page in your unit. I don't have it on the next page here. Be sure to underline or highlight any information that you think is important and that you want to include in your summary. Then write a 1-paragraph summary of the biography you've just read. Try to have at least 5 or 6 sentences and contain the main idea of the article with some supporting details. Remember that your audience is an adult interested in reading about the author of the Green Star Lake series. Then remember to submit both a rough copy and a final copy of your summary for marking. And I know we've talked about this a million times. I don't know why it keeps doing this. I was told to clear our history, but I find that I do that and it still doesn't seem to help. Hang on a second. And of course, it puts me back to the beginning. Okay, we did that. Okay, you should do the following. Use reading strategies to identify and highlight the main idea and details in the text. Use the checklist and rubric provided to write your rough draft, hand in the rough draft, revise your work, and prepare a final copy for your portfolio. Now, for this particular assignment, I want you to notice the rough copy is only worth 5 marks. The final copy is worth 10 marks. I need to see a lot of changes between the rough copy and the final copy, or you are going to lose all sorts of marks for the final copy, okay? Some people are handing me in a rough copy and a final copy that are exactly the same. And in that case, I usually give the rough copy better marks, and the final copy may go down because you haven't continued the writing process, you haven't done the revision. So please be careful of that. Here is a checklist, questions to ask yourself. Now, you don't answer these questions. You write your paragraph and then look at these questions and just check that your paragraph has these things, okay? Just because a few people get confused on that. Have you clearly stated the main idea? Have you included at least 2 supporting details needed to understand the main idea? Hopefully more than that. Do the details clearly relate to the main idea? Are my sentences in order that makes sense? And then have I written a closing sentence that reminds the reader of what's been written? Have I used my own words? With this particular biography, the guy is often quoted, and it can be tempting to just use all his quotes. But when you do that, you aren't showing that you understand. When you put things back into your own words rather than just using the quote, it shows that you really understood what he was getting at, okay? Remember that the overall paragraph needs at least 5 to 6 sentences, and the rubric for the assignment are on the next 2 pages. Also, remember, we're doing a summary, and when we're doing a summary, we don't give our own opinion. So you may not have liked this series. That doesn't matter for this particular exercise. There will be questions later where you can tell me all about what you thought of the book, just not in this particular question, okay? So here is the first top part of the rubric. We're looking at thinking and inquiry, reasoning, and the format. Then we're looking at the communication, descriptive vocabulary, ideas are clearly and precisely stated, uses logical sequencing of ideas and events. And basically, you're trying to aim for this side, right? Level B or level A. For level B, essential information is included, accurately summarizes the main idea, good demonstration of word choices, organizes the ideas and information appropriately. Most events are arranged in sequence of time or importance and shows understanding of the main ideas. Sorry, something's gone missing there. My apologies, I don't know. Sometimes when things are saved, they don't save quite properly. Okay, here. Knowledge and understanding, organization, shows evidence of a logical plan of development for a summary, the topic, the body, and the closing sentences. Okay, so this is one where if you don't do a topic and you don't do a closing sentence, then I'm probably only going to give you a level 1 or a level 2. If you don't follow this criteria, you're not going to be able to get a level B or a level A. Okay, that's really important. Application. This is where you apply the things you know about all the conventions. You use your good grammar, you use your spelling, you use the punctuation conventions. Here, appropriate visual presentation means that you've used indenting between paragraphs or left a space, you've used the margins, that kind of thing. So for level 3, which is again a B, the organization is logical and appropriate, complex, well-developed sentences link ideas and information. So here, when they're saying complex, they also include like the idea of compound. Everything isn't a simple sentence. You have to be careful, though, not to go into the spot where you're running all your sentences together and just creating one giant sentence that doesn't really work. Good use and understanding of conventions, appropriate visual presentation. Okay, so sometimes the toughest part is trying to figure out what is the main idea. In a paragraph, the main idea is usually stated right in the first sentence. But here we're looking at a longer article. And for a longer article, it can be different. It might be in the first sentence, but it also might be at the end of the first paragraph. Sometimes with longer articles, the first paragraph serves as an introductory paragraph and may give some background details before they state the main idea. Another thing to think about when trying to state the main idea is that it is usually a big idea that the rest of the paragraphs will explain or support. Sometimes the same word or the phrase may be repeated several times, which can be a hint as to what the big idea. So if you saw them and they were continually explaining one more reason for why World War II started and another reason for why World War II started, you might begin to think, hey, I think this paragraph is about why did World War II start, right? So look for those kind of like hints, basically. Also, sometimes when people are trying to state the main idea, they're actually not giving me enough information. They're really just stating the topic and not the main idea. So the main idea is going to be the stance or the important point about the topic, not just the topic. So if you wrote the main idea is bees for an article about bees, that's the topic. What might be better would be the main idea is that bees are vital for the survival of plants, which we rely on as food. So that's your idea about the topic, which is what we're looking for. Vague, the main idea is Christmas. Well, Christmas is just a topic. If it's a one-word answer, you have not written the main idea. Fair enough, okay? Better, the main idea is how developing traditions for Christmas can help families and friends feel more loved and connected to each other. Okay, so your main idea should be uh, almost a whole sentence by itself. It should not just be a one-word answer. One way to confirm that you have the main idea is try doing a sentence check. This is where you select a sentence from the story to make sure it matches or supports the main idea. If it doesn't seem related to it, or if it doesn't really seem it seems like a different topic, then your main idea might not be as accurate or maybe not as general enough an idea to include it. In which case, go back and see, is there a way you can make your main idea a little bit broader so that every sentence would be a supporting detail to that main idea? Once you've got your main idea, you're going to select what are some of the supporting details. When you're reading a longer article, it's really important to prioritize. Not every single sentence is important. It might be interesting, but if you're doing a summary, you just want the most important stuff. So sometimes there are details that are fun or they're interesting facts, but those are not the kind of details we want here. Those are considered minor or unimportant details. We want the major details, the major key sentences. Sometimes that will be the first sentence in a paragraph, or it might be in the last sentence of the paragraph. You're going to have to kind of look around and make sure you've got the idea. So here's an example. Supporting details provide information to clarify, prove, or explain the main idea. These details demonstrate the validity or the truthfulness of the main idea. They often list parts, aspects, steps, or examples of the main idea. Or they might list the causes of it, effects from it, or ways in which it shows itself to be true. So there's two types of supporting details, major details and minor details. We want the major details. Major details will explain the main idea, are more specific than the main idea. They will provide the examples, reasons, statistics, and studies that help make the main idea clear and convincing. They will answer readers' questions about the main idea. Minor details will explain a major detail, not the main idea. They are even more specific and smaller than major details. They're the kind of things that if you left out, it still makes sense. It may repeat key points and add a colorful or interesting idea. It may or may not be important enough to include in reading notes. So, for example, here's a little tiny paragraph. I really like apples. They are sweet, crisp, and juicy, and just filling enough to take the edge off my appetite. When I eat apples, I also think of the vitamins and minerals they contain and the fiber they supply to keep me healthy. Main idea. I like apples for the following reasons. They are crisp, juicy, and filling. They provide healthy vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So you can see I kind of condensed these sentences to just include the crucial parts, okay? So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing your summary. Moving on, this is assignment 42. Assignment 42 has three very different parts. So be cautious when you're doing it that you've understood each part because they're similar enough that it can get confusing. So this is lesson 18, preparing for success beyond high school, and this is 60 marks total. In this lesson, you will read an article provided, answer questions to demonstrate your understanding, do further research into the topic, and finally, write an information paragraph to share your knowledge. So assignment 42 is demonstrating understanding or identifying resources. Part A is worth 20 marks. Read the article. It's in your package for Unit 4. It's called A Guide to Scholarships, Awards, and Applications. It's by Rob Taylor. And after you read that, then you're going to answer the questions that follow. Be sure to use complete sentences when you answer. Do not just put a one-word answer. It is quite a long article, so I'm not including it right here. You'll have to kind of read it on your own. Oh, he mentions Scholarships Canada. This is a real resource. It's not just made up for the article. You also can use it if you want to, and we'll need it later on for doing Part B and Part C. So it's https www.scholarshipscanada.com/. So I entered Aboriginal as a search term, and over 361 possible scholarships came up that were just geared for people who were of Aboriginal ancestry. So that's one way to look. Some are for very small amounts of money. Sometimes people like established a scholarship like 40 years ago, and at that point, $100 was a lot of money, and they haven't really changed it. Some are for much larger or more useful sums of money. So you have to be kind of mindful to look at what's actually going to be helpful. The other thing to be careful of when you're looking at scholarships is some are for specific universities or specific colleges. So if you knew you only want to go to Confederation, then you would want to make sure you were looking only for that, or for scholarships that it doesn't matter what university you go to. Um, Other scholarships are for a specific field of study, like journalism or skilled trades or English, but you could use it in any school. Um, Others might have other criteria, like you have to be a mature student or you have to have done a lot of community service. So if you go to Scholarships Canada, there are all sorts of details that you can add and look for. There's so many scholarships, so you're going to want to choose some things. Some other possible search terms. I put up hockey just to see. Hockey only brought up one scholarship, which is not surprising because Canadian schools don't usually offer sports scholarships like American schools do. But like nursing brought up 974 scholarships for that field. Even something like hairstyling brought up a lot of different scholarships for skilled trades. And a lot of people don't think, but hairstyling is a type of skilled trade. So those scholarships would be perfectly valid to use if that's what you were going to do. You do need to create an account to be able to see some of the details, but that doesn't cost any money. And it is a really fascinating site if you're hoping to go on to college, because you can basically see and apply for different types of money that can help you with your studies. Okay. So it does not have every possible scholarship available, which Rob discusses in his article. So for example, here is a full scholarship available at University of Windsor. Full scholarship means they pay your entire scholarship, but it's only available for faculty, staff, their spouses, which means like their husband or wife, and their dependent children. Now, I found this very quickly on the university website. And the reason it's not really being listed on the Scholarships Canada is because it's got a very narrow focus. So this is something to think about. If you've got a husband, wife, a mom or dad who is working at Confederation College or Lakehead or any kind of university, one thing to look into is, are there any specific scholarships for employees? The other thing you might find is some unions, like auto working unions and things like that, might offer specific scholarships to people who are members of those union or their children. So don't just look at your own stuff. Think about your mom and dad or your guardian and what unions might they be involved in, or what organizations might they be involved in, like the Lions, or trying to think of other ones that are like that. Anyways, just be mindful that not every scholarship is available there. The other thing, some big companies will offer specific scholarships because they're trying to get more people to take that field. Like, if a company specializes in needing ocean biologists and they're not getting enough ocean biologists, they may sponsor scholarships for that particular field because they're trying to get people to take more of it and hopefully maybe want to come work for them one day. So that's the kind of thing to think about too. If there's a specific company or a field you're looking into, look around and see if you can find anything for that. Okay, so here are the questions that need to be completed after reading the article. This 8, 10, and 12 is just telling you the first question is worth 8 marks. Second question is worth 2 marks. Third question is only worth, 10 marks. And the third question is worth 2 marks. So question 1 says, use your own words to explain why Rob Taylor, who did not receive any money when he was going through school, has taken the time to write this article. 8 marks. And he talks about it, but don't just quote him. Make sure you put what he says back into your own words, okay? List the steps Rob suggests in order and give a brief explanation of each step. That's worth 10 marks. Keep in mind, not every subheading might be an independent step. A step should actually be an action you're going to take, okay? Number two, do you think you're going to use Rob's advice in this article? Why or why not? That's only worth 2 marks. So, but it should be the kind of thing I will, because, or I won't, because. Make sure it's a complete sentence. This one. I was a little bit concerned that the wording of this question might be a bit confusing because Rob Taylor does explain why he's taken the time to write this article, even though he didn't use scholarship money himself. So where it says use your own words, they want you to paraphrase what he said. Don't just quote him directly. But remember, you don't want to just make stuff up. It's got to be things that are actually in the article. So you can summarize his points by making them shorter. You can rephrase his ideas by putting them in other words. You can use different words by looking for synonyms. All those kind of things can help you rephrase his words in your own ideas. Okay. I already talked about this one. Do you think you'll use Rob's advice in this article? Why or why not? Only you know yourself well enough to be able to predict whether you'll use the advice in this article or not. However, you do have to explain why you will or won't. You can't just write, I probably won't do it. I don't know why. That I won't take that as an answer. To be able to give a better explanation might require some self-reflection. We usually base our predictions about people's actions, including ourselves, on their past behaviors and their past actions. So what in your past or current behaviors suggest that you might or might not follow these steps? Sometimes we base our predictions about people's actions on their character traits, like their personality. And we think about whether someone is motivated, unmotivated, determined, laid back, ambitious, competitive, uncertain, anxious, hesitant, optimistic, pessimistic. What kinds of character traits do you have that would suggest that you might or might not follow this advice to try and obtain these monies? Now, question number 2 in part, hang on a second. I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, I think this is part B. Yeah, okay, I'm going to say this differently. Go online or use, that's what's missing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to add something right here. I think a slide went missing. My apologies. I'm going to just do a quick little duplicate here. Part B. This is the confusion. Part B, question 1. And question 1 is basically, they want to know what career you want to choose, and they want you to give 3 reasons for it. Okay. So, what career might you choose? State 3 reasons for it. Okay, it's explained a little bit longer in the book, but that's kind of my quick memory. You're not like welded to this. Like just because you write this doesn't mean that you like have to go out and pursue this career. But for the purposes of part B, this question 2 and question 3 are going to rely on the career you choose. So if you choose like welding for question 1, then you're going to have to talk about welding in question 2 and in question 3 and also in part C. So make sure you choose a career that you actually are interested in doing research on, or you're going to find this very frustrating. You can't keep changing the career because it won't make the sentences kind of work together. Okay. So here, we're still in part B now. This is a really long assignment. I don't know why they didn't just split it up into 3 parts, but they didn't. Go online or use any other resource available to you, including your teacher, to research some information on your chosen career. For the purposes of this assignment, you may copy or print some information you find and simply highlight the requirements. Include any qualifications, courses, grade requirements, or any other important information. This is worth 15 marks. To me, you should try and find at least 3 resources. Now, I know there are a few people who may be living in places where you don't have great internet or may not have any internet access. If that happens, send me an email, let me know, and tell me what career you are interested in. Okay. I will be happy to help you find some things. So just let me know if that's an issue for you. Okay. You can look at college programs of training, university programs of training, job boards, business that employ a lot of people, like a hospital might tell you a lot of things, apprentice programs for trade jobs, career-oriented magazines, government job sites, and union or organization websites. I kind of really focused on these ones, but this might also work. Okay. College programs will often provide some of the most thorough information about careers and training for careers. So this is like a landing page for Confederation College, and here you would do your program search. And this would take you, let me see if I think we got enough time. This would take you to their site. And the thing you can see here is you can filter different ways. You can filter by your area of interest. You can filter by full-time, part-time, or online. You can look at which campus you want to use, Dryden, Greenstone, Lake of the Woods, North Shore, but a lot of different campuses. Or you could look for what kind of credential you're trying to achieve. And then that's just for international, which doesn't really apply to us. So here, they've just got everything listed by alphabetical order because I haven't given them any focus. So if I wanted to give them a focus, let's say I choose engineering technology. Let's see what comes up. Okay, so I've got aerospace manufacturing. Ooh, this is a engineering technology. This is an engineering technician. This is civil engineering technology, which is I think like doing city and community stuff. Here is civil engineering technician. I wonder what the difference is between technician and technology. Computer programming, electrical engineering technology. And then if I wanted to pick one of these, like let's say I picked this, then it would take you to a further site and it would tell you more information. Okay, it takes 3 years to take this course. It tells you a little bit about the program, employment opportunities, related programs. This is the overview. Here it would talk about some of the courses that you might need to take. This is kind of important because like say you hate math and then you look here and go, oh my God, all of it's going to be about math. Oh, well then you maybe not want to take that particular course. Admission requirements. This usually tells you what you need to have in order to apply for that course. Okay. So here you have to already have your civil engineering technician program in order to apply for the technology program. So technician, I guess, is easier. So that's one point. Sometimes they might have different definitions for a mature student. That is always something to keep in mind if you're older. Sometimes there may be like a test you have to pass, or they're willing to waive high school as long as you can prove certain types of things. Something to keep in mind. Pathways, not sure what that is. Hmm, don't really know what that means. And then more information. Oh, okay. So here's the faculty. Here's how you would apply. If you wanted to talk to the person, you would shoot her an email and ask her some questions. Here is related. Here's how you get your textbooks. Ooh, all these kind of things. So these are great places to get some information on different types of careers. And like you can see there, there were a lot of careers that are similar. Some might be shorter or longer. Sometimes I saw some of the colleges, they have like an accelerated, hey, you can complete this program in 1 year if you have this one prerequisite or something. So that's something to keep in mind too if you don't have a lot of time to spend in school. Oh yeah, so here I looked up apprenticeships the one time. Here are all these different types of apprenticeships, and then you can click on them and they tell you how to apply and what they do and all that kind of fun stuff. Now, there's also, that was specifically for Confederation College. This one is for any college all the way across Ontario. So all the way down to like Windsor, Ottawa, Lakehead, Toronto, all over this province. So some of these would be available online, but not everything would be. Some of them you'd have to be willing to move. So you'd pick a category after you go to this site, and then you would look things up. So here, if I go here, And I know this isn't necessarily what everybody would want to do. I'm just saying it is one possible thing you could go into. So let's say you wanted to go into transportation and logistics. Okay, so here are all the things related to this: aircraft repair, automotive manufacturing and design, aviation and flight, marine, truck and coach, auto body repair, automotive mechanic repair, aviation manage, motive power, I don't know what that is, automotive management, automotive parts and services, logistics, and railway. Just for fun, I'm going to choose railway and see what comes up. Okay. Oh, it doesn't look like anything came up. But wait, maybe it did. Oh, there were no programs. Oh, that's kind of funny. They mentioned it, but they don't actually list it. Okay, that's kind of strange. Let me see. I'm going to try aviation and flight and see if anything comes up. Oh, seriously? This is funny. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so now you've got aviation management, aviation technician, aviation technology, maintenance, Canadian integrated airline transport pilot license, commercial flight operations, remotely piloted aerial systems, commercial operations, neat. And then there's a second page. And you can see here, it tells you what college, it tells you what campus, tells you whether it's full-time, part-time. I think it will often tell you whether it's online. It tells you when the start date was. So here, there was a start date January 2024, and it's now closed, which means you could no longer apply. Here, they're telling you about one that's happening in September, and it's still open to apply. And then if you clicked on the website, it would take you to the college website and give you a whole lot more information. So again, this is a great tool to look up programs that might not be right in our area, but that you might be interested in. And like I said, they don't all offer online availability if you're not willing to move, but some of them do. And it's always worthwhile to give a call to somebody because with COVID, so many things went online that sometimes there's a lot more flexibility about that kind of thing than previously. Like, actually, hang on a second. It says flexible. Sometimes the flexible means you can do it online. I'm not positive if it does here. Mm, da, 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 da. Doesn't say here. I would want to check, but sometimes they'll say flexible or blended or something like that, and they mean that it's available partially online. So that's worth checking out too. Okay, now part B, question number 3. Now this sounds so similar to the question number 2 that some people found it kind of confusing. So for this one, they want you to go online, or if you've gotten information from me, that is fine, and apply, look for information about scholarships or bursaries that you may be able to apply for with your chosen career in mind. Now, the Scholarships Canada site is one. There's also one that is specifically just for Indigenous students. That's one to check out. And as we mentioned, sometimes there might be a specific university or college you want to go to, and they only offer it to their students. And so it might only be available on their website. Unions, organizations, clubs, all those kind of things are worth taking a look into. Print off or copy the information you'll need to apply for the scholarship or bursary. If there's an application form, which some of them have, some of them don't, then you can include it as part of your research. Here, try and look for at least 2 or 3 different scholarships and bursaries. If you're planning to actually apply for them, again, pay attention to how much money they give. Some of them, again, 100, 1,000, 3,000. Some may be a full ride. They may cover your entire scholarship, but you may have to kind of dig around a little bit to find out if that's the case. Question number 3. Yeah. So some possible sites to explore. Yeah, Scholarships Canada. This is a long one. Canada Services Education Funding. This one is specifically for bursaries for Indigenous students. www.sac -iscgcca. Also, there's OHIP funding. So you can look around. It would be really rare to find a post-secondary program that didn't have any type of funding available. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it, but at least it means you could apply for it and there's that chance, right? Especially if money is an issue, right? Okay, so now going on to part C. Part C is writing an information paragraph, and this part is worth 12 marks. So now this is kind of a funny assignment because it's combining two different types of information. So the information that you just gathered in part B, which is all that scholarship information, plus the information from Rob Taylor's article. They want you to combine those to write an information paragraph on how to apply for a scholarship or bursary for your chosen field, because sometimes different fields have different um, qualification or admission requirements. Be sure to do the following. Begin your paragraph with a topic sentence that explains the main or the overall findings of your research. Include at least 4 supporting details or steps that support your topic sentence. Cite at least 2 sources of information. In other words, make sure you're not just using one place to get your information. Try to make sure you've gotten at least 2, if not more, different places. So one thing could be Rob Taylor's article, and another place could be wherever you got some of your scholarship information. Make sure you write a concluding sentence for your information paragraph. Also, do any necessary revising or editing before preparing your final version of the paragraph, and then use the checklist and rubric below to guide your writing. Now, I want to point out, sometimes if you haven't looked at these kind of things, you may not be aware that there's differences. So if you were applying, say, to be an early childhood educator, there might be a clause in a bursary that says that you need to have done volunteer work with children. Uh, Sometimes they may have a criteria that says you need to have financial need. They may have criteria that says that you have to get a certain grade in school. Certain types of programming might require a portfolio where you can show the kind of work you've done, or that you've been involved in leadership positions or involved in community projects that benefited people. So it's really going to depend, and it really can change a lot from one program to a next. So don't just write what Rob Taylor wrote, check specifically around for what your field requires. And if it requires different things, that's okay to say too. You can say, hey, being a mature student can get you access to this bursary. For this one, having some academic high marks is important. For this other one, it's important to have financial need. So it may not all be exactly the same, but those kind of things are the type of things you want to mention. It's kind of like you're teaching other people, right? That idea. Here is the checklist to go through as you're creating this assignment. You've read your resources carefully. This is important because sometimes they may seem really similar. So you want to make sure you're getting each information correctly from each source. Take notes on at least 4 key points that can be grouped together. Used unifying main idea about one specific aspect of your topic. For writing, make sure your paragraphs are in complete sentences, and also don't do run-on sentences. Don't join every sentence together with and or with a comma. Make sure that you've written a topic sentence that clearly states your main idea about some aspect of your topic. Write at least 4 supporting details. Place your supporting details in the best order. Summarize your main idea in a concluding sentence. Remember, it should like restate your opening. Make sure that you've organized your ideas clearly to help your reader follow and understand it. Use linking words to connect the ideas. Present your facts and information. Convey an effective tone through word choice and level of language. We've been talking about word tone or sort of tone before. Your 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 primary audience is always me, obviously, because I'm the one marking it. But your assumed audience would be somebody else who was looking for information. So you probably wouldn't be too casual because you're talking about matters of money here. So it's going to be somewhat formal. We're probably not going to be using short forms or slang or that kind of thing, right? You've used the stages of writing process to revise your work. It's going to appeal to your audience. It meets your purpose, which is to teach somebody about how to apply for scholarships in your field. You've checked your grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Now, here it says you had a peer edit your work. For our purposes, you don't have to do that. You are welcome to do those. So if you want to get a friend or your tutor or your teacher at your DEC to help you edit and make sure everything's going right, feel free to do so. That's fine. Make sure you've gotten an appropriate title for it and that you've neatly or clearly written your typed final copy. And again, make sure it really is your best work, okay? Okay. I'm going back over this because I've had a few confusions over this. It is really important that you've chosen a specific field of study before you start this part of the assignment. Different bursaries or scholarships have different criteria. We talked about this. A scholarship to help you study art might want to see a portfolio. A scholarship to help you study nursing might want to see community work done in the health field. A scholarship for an apprentice program might need to see a reference letter from the company you've agreed to work with. Until you've narrowed down your research to a specific field or program, it's really going to be hard to talk about it because you just won't really know for sure. You also can't switch around for the same reason. If you chose nursing, stick to nursing all the way through. If you chose construction, stick to construction all the way through, just for the purposes of this assignment. Obviously, in your real life, you can do whatever you like, just for this assignment. Okay, so here is an example. This one is the CFUW Aboriginal Women's Award that's provided by the Canadian Federation of University Women. It is a scholarship. It is not renewable and it is not academic consideration. The value of this one is really, this is one of the highest ones I found, 10,000 to 25,000. And now here it says it is renewable, okay? You will be considered eligible on the basis of the following criteria. Canadian Aboriginal women studying in Canada holds or will hold an undergraduate university degree or equivalent before the award for which she has applied is granted. Must have applied, okay, to be a full-time student in any year of an eligible program at a recognized or accredited Canadian post-secondary degree. Now, eligible programs are the academic programs for which they may be studying. It might include Bachelor of Law, medical doctor. So this looks like you need to already have an undergraduate degree and then be applying for a second degree that kind of gives you like a professional level of qualifications. Like, so for example, for me to be a teacher, I had to have a Bachelor of Arts or Science, and then I had to also get a Bachelor of Ed. So I couldn't have used this for my Bachelor of Arts, but I can use it for the a master's or an extra bachelor. It can go to any school. It can go to any level of study, any field of study. Doesn't matter where in Canada. Does not need financial need, and it does not list doesn't list any kind of specific mark. A lot of times with scholarships, they'll say you have to have a certain level of mark. This one, however, it's only available to females. So that's kind of interesting. It's something to be aware of. A lot of times these kind of things are funded by a certain organization that's trying to promote a certain group of people, or again, promote a certain type of study. So if you look at the Scholarships Canada website, again, there's so many different things there. Okay, brainstorming your paragraph. You may want to highlight or underline any important details from Rob's article on scholarships. Some of his advice was pretty universal, and you'd probably be important when applying to any kind of scholarship. Now, take a look at the research you found on your field of study. Was there anything that showed up repeatedly, like the same deadline, the need for financial support, a certain level of marks? Did you find that gender or race was an important element? And were the majority of scholarships you found looking for the same types of extras, community involvement, portfolios, specific work or volunteer experiences, certain sports or extracurricular activities? Some of them have those things, some of them just don't have that at all. They're much more open. It really just kind of depends. This is just going into details. You need at least 4 supporting details. Make sure the points talk about scholarships in your field. Anything unique or special, it's really important to mention. Anything that really surprised you. Where can you incorporate Rob's advice? Remember, he wrote pages and pages. We can't write it all. You're going to have to pick and choose. And again, opening sentence and topic sentence. It also talks about citing a work. So you have to simply give credit to who wrote the information you found. It's also showing that you didn't make something up, but that what you're writing is derived from someone else's works. It's a type of honesty, and neglecting it or doing it poorly can sometimes be treated as plagiarism, even if it was done accidentally. So there's a lot of different ways that they use to cite works. The format that's typically used in English is called the MLA style, which stands for the Modern Language Association style. Other departments may have other styles. So if you go into college, you may need to ask your professor which style they want you to use, because sometimes like sciences may have a different one, psychology may have a different one. It really depends. Each field can have some very specific ways they want works to be cited. MLA format generally follows an author's name and page number. So to quote Rob's article in your paragraph, put his last name and the page number it appeared in our coursework. So for example, Rob Taylor suggests that the most important part of getting a scholarship is to prepare ahead of time. And then in brackets, I put 12, which means 12, page 12. If I didn't put his name in the sentence, then I would need to make sure I included his name and the page number in the brackets. And if you're doing a works cited section, here is how it would look. His name, the title of the article, where it was included, which is our Ontario literacy course, and then what year you found it, which at this point is this year. If you're citing a work properly from the internet, which a lot of time we're doing, in that case, we usually use the writer's last name and the article name in brackets at the end of the sentence. If no author is listed, the website would go in brackets at the end of the sentence, or sometimes they'll put it at the bottom of the page or in the works cited page. In college, you would also need a works cited, and it would just be a listing of all the texts you read. So if you're doing research papers in English for college, you may have read like 12 different textbooks and 3 different articles, and you need to list them all so they know where you're getting your information. We're only doing 2 sources, so it's probably not really necessary, but you could include it at the bottom of your page. That's fine. This is just a quick summary of assignment 42 because it's got so many parts. I do find sometimes people get a little bit mixed up. So part A, simply answer the questions on the scholarship article. Most people find that pretty easy. For part B, question number 1, pick a profession you're interested in and give me 3 reasons why that profession appeals to you. For part B, question 2, find the information on how to train for your profession, which would be the Ontario College programs. For part B, question 3, find information on scholarships for your chosen profession. And again, that could be Scholarships Canada, college specific, any other resources. Again, that should be the same profession as 1. Part C, explain how to apply for scholarships or bursaries specifically for your profession by combining the information from your scholarship information along with anything helpful from the Rob Taylor article, which is in the Unit 4 pages. It needs to be in a paragraph format that includes an opening sentence, a closing sentence, plus at least 4 sentences with supporting details, plus listing at least 2 sources of information. This will include a lot of the same information that's involved in question 3, but it is deliberately being written in a paragraph format rather than a question and answer format. So that's the big difference, okay? Plus you can include information from the Rob Taylor article. Okay, there's going to be one more class tomorrow and then we're finished up. I know we're kind of going fast because I was in the hospital for a bit. We're kind of playing catch up here. Student work at nnec.on.ca is where you send your stuff. Always include your full name, course name, assignment number, and name. Label rough and good draft. If you need to reach me, the really best way is honestly email, because I always see it and I check it several times throughout the day. Jillian.percy@necschools.org. If you're wanting to look for old classes, you can look at gpercy space Wahsa. I am going fairly quickly through this in term 1B. If you feel like you need more information, check my term 1A playlist, and usually that's going to go a little bit slower and a little more detailed because I didn't miss any classes for that. And we've got an admin week coming up, and then I will be reteaching this in term 2A. So again, if you want to tune into those and ask any questions, you are welcome to do so. Thank you so much for showing up today, and we will have one more class before we are all done. Bye, everybody.